Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Welcome into the Steelers Talk Live Show. I am your host, Jack Sperry. Once again, together again here, Coop. Last week I was in New Orleans for Super Bowl week, and unfortunately we didn't have the opportunity to do a live show together. But we are back together again to give you guys some great Steelers content for you guys just a day after Super Bowl 59, where the Philadelphia Eagles absolutely spanked the Kansas City Chiefs. Your reaction to last night's game, Coop?
I'm surprised at the outcome. Not surprised that the Eagles won, but surprised it was a blowout. I did not expect that whatsoever, but I do think the Eagles were the better team going in, and they proved it and then some. So congratulations to our counterparts.
Absolutely. So Philly, congratulations to them. Congratulations to Kenny Pickett, who ended up getting his first Super Bowl ring with his favorite team growing up. He took the final snap of the Super Bowl.
He did.
So, of course, Andrew Filipponi was like, he's won a Super Bowl, blah, 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 blah. I still think the Steelers made the right decision moving on from Kenny. I'm happy that, he gets a Super Bowl ring with his, childhood team, taking the final snap, all that stuff.
Who cares?
But who cares? We're a Steelers show, baby, and we are going to be talking some Steelers football today. Thank you guys so much for all of you guys that showed up for our Super Bowl watch party yesterday. There was a number of you guys that came and watched our final watch party of the year, so thank you guys so much for making last night a fun one, even though it was a terrible football game. First up on today's show, we got the latest news and rumors surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers. Deebo Samuel, a new report says that he wants to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. We're going to be breaking that down at the top of today's show. Then we'll go into some great news after Super Bowl 59 for your Pittsburgh Steelers. They didn't play yesterday, but they did get some good news. And then we've got some trade reactions here. So Bleacher Report came out with a new article suggesting 5 potential trades for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to react to all 5 for you guys at the end of today's show. So make sure you guys stick around if you want to see those trade ideas. Some pretty good ones by Bleacher Report today, if I do say so myself, Mr. Coop.
There were some solid ones there. Our software almost crashed. It was
no.
almost a disaster, but I think we're good.
We should be good. So make sure you guys get those real ones down there in the comments section. If you haven't already, we got 132 people watching live. Only the real ones are here at 4:30 Central, 5:30 p.m. Eastern every single day. So shout out to Ali the Reaper, Fisher Productions, Steelman099. I'm Shifty. Damian Roy is here. What's up, Damian? Good to see you. We got Dominic. Good to see you, Dominic. Happy Monday. We've got Donna Elliott. Oh, Donna. Once again, I'm an idiot. She sent in a $5 Cashapp, and we didn't put it on the show. So, Donna, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for the $5 Cashapp. We'll spin the wheel for you today to make up for it, Donna. So get that wheel ready there, Coop. We've got Andrew in the chat. We got Ty Watt. We've got Cassie Voth, my girlfriend, of course, the lovely Cassie, doing so much for us today. Brock Walker is here. We've got Christopher Domingo. We've got Taco Man. We got a bunch of great Steelers fans ready to talk some Steelers football today. And if you guys want to get on the show today, if you have a topic you want to talk about, if you want to talk about Deebo, you want to talk about Cooper Kupp, you want to talk about Aaron Rodgers, you want to talk about Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, whatever. If you want to get on the show today, you guys can super chat any dollar amount to get on the show. Also, $5, we'll do a here we go, Steelers, here we go for you on today's show. $10, we'll spin the wheel. We got Sperry Pushups on there. We've got jumping jacks. We've got a bunch of great stuff on the spin the wheel. We got Coop shots. We even got a boot on there. So if you guys play your cards right, might have to drink a boot at the end of today's show. I hope not, though. And then $20, you get 3 wheel spins, plus I have to do 10 push-ups as well. So if you want to give me my workout today, $20 is the price to get me to do push-ups this afternoon. So if you guys want to send in your money via Venmo, Cashapp, or PayPal, we actually get to keep more of the proceeds when you send it to our Venmo, Cashapp, or PayPal, because YouTube takes 30% of every single super chat that you guys send in, and then Apple takes another 10% if you send it in on an Apple product. So if you guys use Venmo, Cashapp, PayPal, we get to keep more of those proceeds, so we greatly appreciate your support. Big shout out to our Black Diamonds, guys. These are the people that have put in $500 or more on a singular Steelers Talk live show. As you guys can see here, if you are a part of Black Diamond Club, you get your very own Super Chat sticker. Got a bunch of great stickers in here, guys. So every time that you Super Chat for life, that sticker shows up next to your super chats so that everybody knows in the chat that you are a Black Diamond and that you are very special. So if you guys want to join Black Diamond Club today, it is $500, which is a lot of money on one show. But also, there's people like Platinum666 and Kurgan Cold that donate these stickers as well. So if you are in the chat and you are a fan favorite, you have an opportunity to become a Black Diamond for free as well. So make sure you're always watching our live shows. Make sure you're always clicking that subscribe button, like button, all that great stuff. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. And also, draft season is now officially here, and me and Tom Downey are heading up our coverage on our NFL Draft channel. So if you guys want to check out our NFL Draft channel, I think Coop, do you have the link to that? Or
it's right there.
It's right there. Perfect. So it's right down there in the screen, guys. You can put that in. If you guys want to watch me and Tom Downey give our mock drafts every week, our positional rankings, all that stuff. If you're a draft nerd and you want to get daily NFL draft content, that's where you guys can get some more content from me. You can also get more content from me, Jack Sperry, at Jack_Sperry on X. Thank you guys so much for all the support that you guys provide to me on there. I give my instant reaction to Steelers rumors and news on my X. So if you want my instant reaction to news stories that break before I put out a video here on YouTube, X is the place to get my instant reaction. Okay, so if you guys want a shout out to kick off today's show, spam those me's when you have clicked that thumbs up icon. We've got 160 people watching live right now, just 47 likes. Can we get to 50 likes? Can I get 3 more people to click that thumbs up icon real quick for me? We got Dre the Gamer in here. We've got Steelman099, Ken McGee. We got Beat Boy. We got Pittsburgh Steelers fan 8. We got Ali the Reaper, Tristan White. We got Jacob Wizarak. What's up, Jacob? We got Christopher Domingo, Alex L., Tristan White, Robert Derringer, Brock Walker's here. Brock, you're always in the chat. I appreciate you, brother. We got Alex L. We got Dominic. We've got Third Gen Blake. Got a good crew today here, Coop. Let's give them some great Steelers content here. So without further ado, let's get into our first Steelers segment of the day, the latest news and rumors surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers, featuring Deebo Samuel. Later in today's show, I've got some great news for the Pittsburgh Steelers after Super Bowl 59, and then I've got some Steelers trade suggestions from Bleacher Report that I am going to be reacting to, so don't go anywhere. Our first segment's coming up right now, the latest news and rumors surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers. Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and today we got a bunch of great Steelers news and rumors to cover for you guys here on a Monday. And the big story of the day that we're going to be covering is Deebo Samuel. And now he is officially being shopped by the San Francisco 49ers. And according to a new report, Deebo actually wants to be traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers and plans on reaching out to GM Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin in the days to come to try to get his way to the Steel City. And if a trade happens, if Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin actually get something done for a wide receiver this offseason, we know they failed to do that last year. Hopefully they get something done this time around. But if something happens, we are going to get you guys covered with breaking news coverage here on Steelers Talk. And if it's a big enough name like Deebo Samuel, we will go live for you guys right here on the channel when that breaking news hits. So make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already to never miss a big move and our live analysis here on Steelers Talk. So this is what Adam Schefter put out yesterday in terms of the Deebo Samuel situation. The 49ers have granted Deebo Samuel and his agent Tory Dandy permission to find a trade partner for the wide receiver, Samuel told ESPN. This comes after Samuel asked San Francisco to trade him during the players' exit meetings after the season. Yeah, quote unquote, it was a hard conversation to have with Kyle Shanahan because of the relationship that we have, Samuel said today, but I have to do what's best. I'm more than thankful for the Niners giving me the opportunity of a lifetime, but now I think it's best that we find another team. And then Adam Schefter himself went on the Pat McAfee show today and said, quote unquote, I could see Deebo in Pittsburgh. So there's certainly some smoke here that Deebo Samuel could be sparking the interest of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then according to Noah Strackbein of Sports Illustrated, he says, according to a source from another NFL team, Samuel and his agent Tory Dandy are quote-unquote absolutely going to attempt to engage with the Steelers, making them an immediate candidate if they share the same interest. And I do think that it makes sense for the Pittsburgh Steelers to have some sort of interest in Deebo Samuel, because I think that, he's the type of receiver and he's kind of the type of versatile Swiss Army knife that Arthur Smith really cherishes in his offense. First, it was kind of Cordero Patterson there with Atlanta, kind of using him in a versatile type of role. And then, of course, he brought Cordero here to Pittsburgh in kind of a lesser role than what it was in Atlanta. But Deebo Samuel can certainly be of value to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He still brings great size to the table, 6 foot, 215 pounds at 29 years old. So he's still technically on the right side of 30, but he's certainly approaching that number. Also, Pittsburgh had discussions with the 49ers last year around the draft to potentially trade for Deebo Samuel. Now, they were also having conversations surrounding Brandon Ayuk, and as we know, nothing came to fruition during the draft. But I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers would likely be wanting, or the Deebo Samuel himself would be likely looking for a new contract for whatever team he's going to be going to. So that's something that you have to keep in mind as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. My scouting report on Deebo Samuel here, guys. I really like the play strength that he brings to the table and the size. His run after the catch ability is legendary. Still brings that to the table, even though I think he did lose a step this past year with the 49ers. The run blocking, in my opinion, is still top 5 among wide receivers in the game today. And then his versatility, his usefulness in screens, in jet sweeps, is even a running back in the backfield can be something that Arthur Smith can use to be more creative with his scheme, all this different stuff. But the cons, guys, and it's a big con, if you're asking him to be a true separator versus man coverage, he's not the best route runner in the world. He's not the best in terms of getting in and out of his breaks, all these different things. And then also, he's not the best hands receiver either. I wouldn't say he necessarily has a drop issue, but it's not like he's going to be going up down the sideline making crazy catches consistently for the Steelers offense if they end up trading for him. But I think that Art will absolutely have a soft spot for Deebo and his skill set. And there's a reason why Kyle Shanahan likes Deebo Samuel and his skill set as much as he does. And it's because you can use him in a myriad of different ways, on orbit motions, on all these different things, jet sweeps, screens, and then also he blocks his ass off as a run blocker, which we know Arthur Smith really loves. But Jack, I saw this photo of him in New Orleans last week, and he looks fat. Is he out of shape? What the heck is going on right now? Why would the Steelers want to trade a draft pick to go out and get Deebo Samuel? But take it from me, man. I was there in New Orleans at Radio Row, and I saw Deebo Samuel with my own 2 eyes. He is not fat, all right? He is not bulging out of that jersey or whatever the case. It's at a terrible angle. You take a picture of me, my skinny ass, at that angle, kind of looking up that way, I'm going to look like I've put on some poundage, all right? So Deebo Samuel is still in playing shape. He is still in football shape. And, I think that the whole, fat Deebo thing is a complete load of crap. I still think he can play at the NFL level, even though he has lost a step athletically, which shows on his tape with the 49ers last year. But it's not really going to cost all that much for the Pittsburgh Steelers to go out and get Deebo Samuel, in my opinion. At the very most, I think that Deebo's probably going to catch a 4th-round pick. And I think that Omar Khan, with the way that he likes to be aggressive with these trades, could potentially even get Deebo Samuel for a 5th or even a 6th-round pick, depending on the rest of the trade, what the rest of the trade market looks like for Deebo. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Deebo Samuel situation here. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Would you accept this trade if you were the Pittsburgh Steelers? A 4th-round pick for Deebo Samuel. For me personally, guys, I would do it if it's a 5th-round pick, not a 4th-round pick. But this is expected to be the price tag for Deebo Samuel. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. A for accept or D for decline. In just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at ZBiotics. And while I'm talking about ZBiotics, go down there, find that pinned comment at the top of the comment section, and give me your answer. And now let's talk a little bit here about our sponsor today at ZBiotics. And as most of you guys know, I don't drink alcohol, all right? But I certainly work with a lot of people that do here at Chat Sports, and I'm thankful they have ZBiotics pre-alcohol as a resource for them to be able to be at their best for me and this show here at Steelers Talk after having some fun the night before. Pre-alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by a PhD scientist to tackle rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol converts into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for the rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to drink this probiotic before drinking alcohol, drink responsibly, and get a good night's sleep to feel your best the next day. So go to zbiotics.com/chatsports. You can also scan the QR code on the screen right now to get 15% off your first order when you use code CHATSPORTS. That's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS at checkout. You can also sign up for a subscription using my code so you can stay prepared no matter the time or occasion. ZBiotics is backed with 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head on over to zbiotics.com/chatsports and use code CHATSPORTS at checkout for 15% off. A big thank you to ZBiotics for sponsoring today's episode of Steelers Talk. So when it comes to the cap hit that the Steelers would have to be taking on if they trade for Deebo Samuel, right now the Steelers would only be taking on $1.92 million for 2025. I think his base salary is at about $1.7 million, and then a roster bonus is at around $200,000. So you look at that, and that's where it ends up. Under $2 million looks pretty darn good, but keep in mind here that Deebo may be looking for a new contract. Maybe he doesn't want to go to a team on just a one-year deal. He might be looking for a long-term home, and the Pittsburgh Steelers may be willing to give him that contract, but it's going to be hairy for him to find the contract that suits his desire, because I think that, last year his numbers definitely dipped quite significantly, so I don't know what kind of contract he's actually going to get on the open market. But here's the catch when it comes to getting a guy like Deebo Samuel, guys. If Pittsburgh gets him, that likely means that the Steelers won't be spending at least an early draft pick on a wide receiver, because Deebo Samuel is going to be slotting in as the number 2 wide receiver in this rotation. The number 1 guy will be George Pickens or some other veteran. If they trade George and they bring in Devontae Adams, for example, he would be the number 1 receiver. But George or some other veteran is probably going to be the number 1 guy heading into the season. Deebo would be your number 2 guy. Calvin Austin III would be your number 3, and Roman Wilson would slot in as your number 4, coming in to play the slot from time to time. So if you get Deebo Samuel and you want a wide receiver early in the draft, I just don't know if that's going to be something the Pittsburgh Steelers actually do. And that's exactly why, personally, if I'm Steelers GM Omar Khan, especially because I think Deebo's going to want a new contract, I would rather pass on Deebo Samuel, and I would spend a draft pick in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft this year to pick up somebody for the future. There's a lot of really good wide receivers in this class. It's not as good on day 3. The depth at wide receiver isn't what we've seen in years past, but you can get a really good wide receiver at pick number, in the first round for the Steelers, or in rounds 2 or 3. This is a list of all the guys I have my eye on. I think the Steelers are going to be looking for more of an outside kind of guy. I really like Alec Ayomaner out of Stanford, who's really good. Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State is certainly somebody I have my eye on as well. Jack Besh out of TCU is a fantastic run blocker that I think Arthur Smith will fall in love with as well. All these guys I have my eye on as potential wide receiver draft targets for the black and gold this spring. Now, before I go here, we talked about Deebo Samuel. Let's talk about Russell Wilson here, because Adam Schefter, when he went on Pat McAfee today, not only gave an update on Deebo Samuel, he also gave an update on Russell Wilson. This is what Schefter had to say on McAfee earlier today. Russ is having conversations with the organization about the future and where it's going to go. There's still a lot that's going to play out here, but I think he definitely thinks he may be back in Pittsburgh. So, Russell Wilson has been wearing Steelers gear in his offseason workouts. He was all Steelers at the Pro Bowl. He's making it abundantly clear he wants back in Pittsburgh. All right, but I think that the message that I have for Steelers fans is just because Russell Wilson is saying he wants to be back in Pittsburgh doesn't mean the Steelers necessarily want him back, right? This takes 2 to tango. You need the team to want him, and the player needs to want to come back. It seems like the player is willing. The question that's going to be answered here over the next several weeks is whether the Steelers are willing to come to the table, and then what the contract looks like. Is Russell Wilson willing to take a $10 or $15 million per season contract to come back and try to win Super Bowls with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Because I think that's what it's going to take. The Steelers aren't going to pay him $30+ million per season. I think they're too smart to do that. But if he wants to take a $10 to $15 million deal, I think they would certainly be open to that, especially if they can't get Aaron Rodgers, especially if they can't get Sam Darnold, especially if they can't get Matthew Stafford, especially if they can't get Justin Fields back or if Fields becomes too expensive. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Gauge it for me. Percent chance Russell Wilson is back with this team next year. Put it on a scale of 0 to 100 for me. Right now, I'd put it at about a 10% shot. I don't think the chances are all that great, guys. I think the Steelers are probably going to move on, but who knows? Crazier things have certainly happened. Thank you guys so much for making it to the end of today's edition of Steelers News and Rumors. We got more great Steelers content coming your way throughout the 2025 offseason and beyond. So make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers. First segment in the books, Mr. Coop. I just got a Cashapp here. I actually got two. I got two Cash Apps for you here, Coop. So I will send that to you. Coming up next, we got some good news for the Pittsburgh Steelers after Super Bowl 59.
Percent chance Russ will be back in Pittsburgh?
I know you think he's going to be back.
Minus 65.
You think 65%?
Yep.
Well, you told me 100% a couple weeks ago, so it's starting to chip away.
Still well over 50.
Still, well, I mean, 15, I don't know if that's well over 50. I mean, 15% over 50, I don't know, man. So we'll get to these Cash Apps here in just a second. Appreciate your guys' support. No super chats, right, Coop?
No supers.
All right, no supers. But we will get to these super chats here in just a second. And, I think that this next segment might ruffle some feathers, Coop. I'm not going to lie. I think that this next segment might ruffle some feathers. I know there's a lot of anger in Steelers Nation right now and on Steelers Twitter, and I understand it, man. You finish your season with 5 straight losses, and the head coach doesn't get fired, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, nobody gets fired. I understand the anger and the lack of hope with this fan base right now, but I think that there are reasons to be optimistic, and I'm an optimistic person. And I think that there's going to be some good news that comes out of Super Bowl 59 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Alex Lanier with a $3 Cash App. Appreciate you. Then we got a $5 here from Austin Reek, or Reich. I hope I'm saying that right. Let me know, Austin, in the chat if you're in there, how to pronounce your name. He says, is there any linemen the Steelers should look at? So there's obviously an ideological kind of thing with the Steelers and with the Philadelphia Eagles and everybody that comes from that Howie Roseman tree. Remember, Omar Khan comes from the Roseman tree there in Philly. Andy Weidel also comes from the Howie Roseman tree. And that branch loves to get trench players early in the draft.
Yes, they do.
All right, they love to get those defensive and offensive linemen to get more and more trench help. And it paid off in the Super Bowl because they absolutely dominated the trenches, both sides of the ball against the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's why they're champions of the world. Is this for
Donna?
This one's for Donna Elliott. This one, and I'll answer your question here in just a second here, Austin. Oh no.
We can do them at the end.
Let's actually do them now.
You want to do them now?
Let's do them now. We got Joseph Grimaldi coming in with a $2 as well.
How much to get Coop to do the push-ups? I'll put it on the wheel.
You'll put it on the wheel? All right, so we'll put one on the wheel. So keep putting in those $10 super chats for us to spin the wheel. It's $10 to spin the wheel. You know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say $5 for the wheel until you get push-ups. All right? So we'll do a special half-off offer here.
Do you know how to hold the camera?
I just hold it, right? That's all you gotta do.
I'm just making sure.
But so yeah, $5 to spin the wheel. It's usually 10, but until Coop has to do push-ups, we'll keep it at $5. All right, so I'm gonna do these now.
Give me 1 sec here.
But to answer your question, while Coop gets ready, Austin, any linemen that they should be looking at? Jamari Caldwell, nose tackle out of Oregon, I think is a good day 3 guy to keep your eye on.
Kevin Dotson.
Who's the guy out of Maryland that I really like? Let's see here. Going to my notes here. I can't remember his name, but a big nose tackle out of Maryland that I've really fallen in love with. He was at Shrine Bowl this year. What's his name? Jordan Phillips, that's his name. He's been a big riser on the PFF big board. Really big athletic freak, all right? Running, 320 pounds. He can run, blows up screens.
Psycho?
He might be a psycho. I'm a big fan of Darius Alexander out of Toledo, who had a fantastic Senior Bowl week. I think you might have to take him in round 2, though, after the Senior Bowl. He had such a great week.
All right.
There in Mobile.
Push-up time.
All right, here we go. Coop's got the push-up camera. So let's take care of these first 10. You're up next, Coop.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Oh. All right. First batch out of the way. Appreciate you, Austin, for the 5.
Did you do any push-ups in New Orleans?
We did some, you know. We didn't have much time for like full-blown workouts. We had early mornings and late nights there in New Orleans.
Mr. Senior got his run-in.
Mr. Senior got his 10-minute run-in in the morning every day.
Yeah.
Because he's not, as David Goggins likes to say, he's not a bitch, you know, so. So appreciate you guys. Got about 200 people watching live right now. If we can get to 100 likes before the end of the show, I'll do another 10 push-ups, all right? So if we can get 15 more likes on the show, I'll add another 10 push-ups to the total here, guys. So make sure you click that thumbs up icon. If everybody clicks that thumbs up icon right now, guys, we can get to that 100 really easy. So really do appreciate your guys' support. Coop, we ready to get into this next segment here? All right, let's get into our second segment of the day. Some good news for the Pittsburgh Steelers after the Eagles win in Super Bowl 59. The Pittsburgh Steelers just got some great news after the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Kansas City Chiefs and honestly spanked them in Super Bowl 59 there in New Orleans. And that great news is that the Eagles proved in this year's Super Bowl that the way that the Steelers are trying to build their team can, in fact, be a winning formula for an NFL franchise. It just comes down to whether Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin can actually execute the plan. Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. I'm going to be explaining my reasoning for this throughout the course of today's show. So get us going down there and click that thumbs up icon and like today's video. If you want Pittsburgh to have a great offseason, just like the Philadelphia Eagles had last year to get them to where they were in Super Bowl 59 as Super Bowl champions for this season, click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. I greatly appreciate all of your support. So just to be clear, before we get into everything today, guys, just because I'm saying Pittsburgh is trying to build their team in the similar way to Philly doesn't mean that I think they're as good as Philadelphia or that they're definitely going to win the Super Bowl next year or anything of that like. All right, all I'm saying is that Omar Khan and Andy Weidel, the assistant GM, they come from that Eagles kind of line from Howie Roseman. They have the same team-building philosophy that Howie Roseman has, where you go with run-first offense, defense, trench play, and then you have competent quarterback play. Jalen Hurts, with all due respect to Jalen Hurts, he's a Super Bowl champion now. He played phenomenally in the final 2 games of the year. I don't know if he is necessarily an elite of the elite super weapon type of quarterback, and having a quarterback like that absolutely kill Mahomes in a Super Bowl proves that the Eagles' formula for success works, and that's exactly what the Steelers are doing right now. What the Philadelphia Eagles do is they pair an elite run game with an elite defense. That's what the Steelers have been trying to establish here for the last several years. And then they add a competent quarterback with great weapons surrounding that. And then what do you have? You have a Super Bowl winning a recipe. And honestly, this year's Eagles team was one of the most complete teams we have ever seen in NFL history, in my opinion. And the Steelers want to kind of build their team in that light as well. So I just think that when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, why haven't they had the same kind of success as the Eagles over the last 3 seasons? The reason for that is because Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan and the coaches here in Pittsburgh have done a worse job at implementing that plan. It doesn't mean that they can't eventually get there, but just that they haven't gotten there yet. So you take a look at the Eagles roster and where they kind of stack up with the rest of the NFL. Quarterback, I would say, borderline top 10, Jalen Hurts. He's a good starting quarterback. The run game is elite with the great offensive line, which is also elite. Saquon Barkley is phenomenal. The weapons, one of the best wide receiver duos in the league, and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith to complement Jalen Hurts and his accuracy. The pass rush, in my opinion, was elite. I mean, just look at the way they got after Mahomes last night, guys. It was incredible. The second level was Zach Bond, Defensive Player of the Year candidate as an off-ball linebacker, definitely elite on that level as well. And then the secondary, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean as their first 2 draft picks this year. Are you kidding me? What a phenomenal secondary as well. And then their special teams is certainly adequate. Then you look at the Steelers roster. All right, and it's not nearly the same level as the Philadelphia Eagles. We all understand this, right? Russell Wilson, below average quarterback in my opinion. The run game was terrible. The O-line was not very good either. The weapons were below average, with George Pickens really being the only true dynamic receiving threat out there. The pass rush, I think, is elite. All right, when you give them time to get after the quarterback and you don't give them easy answers, I think they're the best in football, or one of the best in football. The second level was certainly above average, with Patrick Queen being added to that room this year and Peyton Wilson being a really good rookie in that group this year as well. The secondary, I would say, was about average. You have good pieces in there, but it was certainly underwhelmed. And the special teams is elite here in Pittsburgh, in my opinion. So I think that Pittsburgh has a long ways to go, but so did Philly last year. We have to remember where the Philadelphia Eagles were this time last year, and their fan base was absolutely reeling, just like the Pittsburgh Steelers are right now. Remember, at the end of the 2023 season, the Philadelphia Eagles lost 6 of their final 7 games. Does that sound familiar, Steelers fans? Because guess what? The Steelers lost 5 of their final 7, and they lost the final 5 games of their year. So the Philadelphia Eagles had an absolutely terrible season collapse to finish their year. A road playoff loss to Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. And now the Steelers, 5 straight losses, including a road playoff loss to the Baltimore Ravens. So very similar kind of setups here. And remember, Eagles fans wanted Nick Sirianni, who just won a Super Bowl, as their head coach, fired at the end of last season for that terrible collapse. Right? There was people calling for his head even earlier this year when they started the year 2-2, heading into their Week 5 bye. And guess what Steelers fans are saying right now? Let's get rid of Mike Tomlin. He's terrible. He can never win another Super Bowl. Just the things that they were saying about Nick Sirianni last year. Now, just because of these similarities, guys, it doesn't mean the Steelers will win the Super Bowl, all right? That's not what I'm trying to say. But what I am saying here, guys, is that the Eagles understood what they needed to get better at, and then they made the proper moves to be able to take their game and their team to the next level. And look what happened. They became one of the most complete teams in the history of the National Football League. So if Omar Khan, Mike Tomlin, everybody in the Steelers front office can put together a really good offseason, I think they can do just what the Eagles did this year and take that next step forward. You take a look at what the Eagles had as their core issues last year on their football team heading into the offseason. They needed better play calling on offense and defense. The run game wasn't explosive enough, and then they needed to solidify the secondary that was giving up way too many yards. Then you take a look at what they did in the offseason, right? This is a nice list of all the moves that they got. They brought in Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore as their new offensive coordinators, all right? Those were slam dunk hires in my opinion. Then they signed Saquon Barkley, Zach Bond, who are both All-Pros this year. Saquon won Offensive Player of the Year, and Zach Bond was an All-Pro as well and was a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Mekhi Becton were starters and big contributors as well. Then they drafted Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, 2 guys as rookies that graded in the top 10 in PFF grading in the first 2 rounds. And then they extended all of these players to really nice contract figures as well. So they had a really, really good offseason. And in my opinion, guys, I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers, another team here that just isn't that far away. If they make some crucial moves and if they make some steps forward in certain key areas this next offseason, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers maybe won't make it to a Super Bowl and win it. That's the goal. Hopefully they can do that. But I think they could certainly take a step forward and, hey, let's just win a fucking playoff game before we start talking about Super Bowls here in the Steel City. But coming up next year on Steelers Talk, why and how the Pittsburgh Steelers can do what Philadelphia did and take a step forward in 2025. And who knows, man, maybe if the ball falls their way, maybe they can do what the Eagles did and compete for a Super Bowl championship. But before we get into how I think the Steelers can make a big-time switch up here in 2025 and become legitimate Super Bowl contenders, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Prize Picks, which is the best place to get real money sports action all on your phone this offseason with a bunch of different sporting options. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more than or less than on at least 2 player stat projections for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, and Prize Picks puts their members first, guys, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. And guys, with baseball coming up here soon, basketball is certainly in the thick of their season right now. The trade deadline just passed, so we get Luka Doncic on the Lakers. Shout out producer Coop, a big Mavs fan there. But you guys can download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup when you download the Prize Picks app today. Prize Picks, run your game. So here is where the Pittsburgh Steelers are at right now. And this is why the Steelers have some hope to have a really good offseason this year. The first thing is that they have a young but promising offensive line. All right, now there's certainly question marks on the O-line for the Steelers this year. Broderick Jones on the right side of the offensive line, his first 2 years in the league, certainly hasn't been a good player. But he's more confident and more comfortable on the left side. He always has been. And I'm hoping that move this offseason is going to allow him to be the first-round caliber player that the Steelers traded up for just a couple of seasons ago. Isaac Seumalo and Zach Frazier are very solid pieces. No worries about those guys. Mason McCormick had to make a switch from left guard to right guard in one season this year after being drafted by the Steelers. And it was a big change for him, especially when he had to get used to the NFL game. I'm hoping after a full offseason training at right guard that he is going to do a good job. And then hopefully Troy Fautano can stay healthy as well at right tackle. And I think that this offensive line seriously has some big-time potential. I loved Mason McCormick coming out last year. You got 2 first-round tackles that could potentially blossom in 2025. And if you can hit on all of these young and promising players, this offensive line could be really something for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the future, but you got to develop that talent. Number 2, on reasons why I'm optimistic, is that you have options at quarterback if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, maybe they're not high-end, oh, yeah, we're getting a superstar level quarterback, but I think you can certainly get somebody that's competent, like a Jalen Hurts, all right? Can you get a top 15 quarterback to get you a game-winning drive every once in a while, to get you a playoff win, to get you a big third down and long every once in a while? Out of these 5 options here that I think are the most likely for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I would like to see them get somebody that fits kind of that mold of somebody that can be a competent starting NFL quarterback behind a really good run game, like what the Eagles have with Jalen Hurts, operating that offense behind Saquon Barkley. And I think that a lot of Steelers fans think that Justin Fields can have a very similar type of projection to Jalen Hurts. Hurts was certainly somebody that had to get better throughout his NFL career with mental processing, with accuracy, with all the things that were issues with him in college that he needed to improve in the pro game. And to his credit, he has done those things. And Justin Fields, just like Jalen Hurts, works his butt off every single offseason to try and make those improvements. And honestly, Fields has an even higher upside than Jalen Hurts has. So, hey, if Fields can just manage the game a little bit, and keep that dynamic rushing element to his game, who knows? Justin Fields could be the next success story in the National Football League when it comes to development, just like Jalen Hurts has had in Philadelphia. Then also, this is an awesome running back draft class, guys. And if there was ever an offseason where a team needed to get an impact number 1 running back from the word go, this was the draft class to do it. And the Steelers are going to have so many options. Really early in the draft, Ashton Jeanty, I think, is probably the top guy on their board. He's certainly the highest on my board. If you have an opportunity to go get him in round 1, I would certainly jump at the chance. But also, you don't have to really reach on any of these guys. You can wait for day 2 to get a Cam Scadaboo, to get a Caleb Johnson, to get a Quinshon Judkins, to get a Devin Neal out of Kansas, who I really like as well. There's a lot of really good options at running back in this year's draft class, guys. And I think that moving off of Najee Harris, getting away from a potentially big contract at the running back position and bringing in a young, fresh, and talented number 1 running back could certainly catapult this team. Maybe not exactly the way Saquon Barkley did for the Eagles. That's kind of unique, but in kind of a similar fashion where the Steelers' run game goes from one of the worst in the league to one of the best. And then speaking of one of the worst to one of the best, there's opportunities at wide receiver this year for the Steelers as well. You could potentially get a guy like Devontae Adams if you bring in a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr. You could sign T. Higgins, who we know Mike Tomlin loves. If Garrett Wilson wants out of New York, you could potentially trade for him. There's a lot of great options in the early rounds of the draft at wide receiver. The Steelers have opportunities to get better at this position as well. So hopefully they can get Justin Fields, whoever the quarterback is here in Pittsburgh, the dynamic duo type of situation that Jalen Hurts has in Philly. And then also opportunities at cornerback as well. I really do like the projection of Joey Porter Jr. and his physical skill set. The Steelers really believe in him. Minkah Fitzpatrick and Deshaun Elliott are likely to be back next year. I like that duo. And if you can just get the right cornerback in free agency, whether that's Charvarius Ward, whether that's DJ Reed, whether that's somebody else in free agency on the other side, and then you figure out the nickel position as well, maybe bring back Mike Hilton, how great would that be? I think that this is a team here in Pittsburgh that could take a really, really big step forward in 2025, especially if they get that run game fixed, especially if that offensive line gets fixed, especially if they get the right quarterback in here. I think that this is a Steelers team that could realistically take a step forward in 2025. And I understand that a lot of people are like, oh, the Steelers can never win with Mike Tomlin. But also consider that Philly fans were saying the same exact thing about Nick Sirianni last year, and look where they ended up after just one good offseason. So Yenzers, let me know down there in the comment section, how optimistic are you about the future of the black and gold? Put it on a scale, meaning a 1, meaning I'm absolutely done with this football team, no hope whatsoever, to 10, meaning, man, I'm excited for this offseason. I'm ready to get things going. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. For me, I'm sitting at around an 8.5. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much for all of your support. We got you guys covered with extensive Steelers coverage all off-season long. So if you want to join us for our extensive coverage of this 2025 off-season journey, make sure you click that subscribe button right now. Until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers. So what'd you think of that segment there, Coop? I know there's a lot of Steelers fans right now that, you know, kind of rage porn on Twitter. You know, they love to rag on the Steelers, and I understand why they do it. You know, they've been stuck in place for a very long time, and you know, it's their view that if you don't change anything from the head coaching position, nothing is going to change ever. And you know, I think that I do think this is a do or die offseason for Tomlin. That's kind of how I see it. Yeah. If they don't improve, I think if they don't win a playoff game, Mike Tomlin will be gone. I think it's slightly lower than that. I think if they don't have a winning season, then he gets fired.
I think because they will get fired if they don't have a winning season. Because
here's the thing. The Steelers are trying to get Cam Hayward a ring before he retires. If you fire Mike Tomlin, bring in a new head coach, how many first-year head coaches have won a Super Bowl?
I don't know.
Maybe 2 or 3?
Yeah, it doesn't happen
Not
very
much.
often.
It doesn't happen very often because you're establishing your culture, all these different things. I think he gets 2 more years. Unless it's a complete disaster next year, I think Mike Tomlin gets at least 2 more years. Gary Frank says, I still draft Igbuka and get a back in the second and another back in free agency. Which back in free agency? Are you thinking Warren? Bring back Warren? I would love to bring back Warren. But this behind Fields as quarterback and work done in O-line. Sack, pick 6 for Mahomes. Hell yeah. Yeah, I mean...
He didn't call him Mahomes.
What's that? Oh yeah. Well, I'm saying Mahomes, but I get the message, Gary Frank. But yeah, it was an absolute ass kicking, and I think what the Eagles showed last night and why it gives a little hope to the Steelers is that if you can develop the trenches, all right, if Broderick Jones, Mason McCormick, and Troy Fautano become what the Steelers think they're going to be, this could be a very good offensive line next year, Coop, and then you have a really good O-line, and we already know what the Steelers can do in the trenches on defense.
Get Pat Meyer the hell out of here, man.
I agree, man. I don't like Pat Meyer, but he's still under contract, and it seems like they're not letting us going. All right, here we go. We're spinning the wheel for Gary Frank's 10. All right, we got a here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. So coming up here, Bleacher Report put out an article with 5 trade ideas, 2 trade candidates, and 3 draft targets for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025. It's going to be fun, man. I thought there were some good names on this list, Coop. What are you laughing at over there?
One of my friends just sent me an inside joke. It's funny as hell.
Goodness gracious.
Got to send it to Graham.
All right, so we're going to get into this here. And, you know, I'm somebody that, you know, you can call me, an idiot for drinking the hopium or whatever, but I am an optimistic person. And I look at what can be done to address a problem instead of just moping around complaining about a problem.
You're looking for solutions.
I'm a solutions guy. So when I look at the Steelers and I look at where they're at now, the talent they have on the roster, and the opportunities that they have with the cap space that they're going to have, all this different stuff, the draft picks at their disposal, with the draft class being the way that it is this year. I think the Steelers have an opportunity, if they can put together a really good offseason the way that Howie Roseman did last year. And I think we all trust Omar Khan here. He kind of botched the wide receiver position last year, but I think generally we trust Omar Khan. He's a good GM.
How he do it.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully he can con some people, have some trades this year. Hopefully he does another really good draft class this year.
Hopefully we can put some pixelated glasses on some thumbnails.
Exactly. And, hopefully this offensive line actually develops. If it doesn't develop, Coop, or if Fautano gets hurt again, or whatever the case may be, the Steelers are going to be in trouble. The Steelers will be in trouble if their offensive line stinks again.
Pat Meyer, you got to go.
I mean, I think they should fire Pat Meyer this year because it's such a monumental season for Broderick Jones. It's such a monumental season for Mason McCormick. It's such a important season for Troy Fautano coming off of that knee injury, where these guys got to hit, plain and simply. And if they hit, the Steelers can legitimately do something in 2025. If they don't hit, the complete foundation of the offense crumbles again, and it really doesn't matter if Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, doesn't matter who the quarterback is. If the offensive line stinks, the run game's going to stink, the quarterback is going to stink, and the Steelers are going to stink. So you got to get that offensive line right, Coop. All right, so let's get into these trade suggestions from Bleacher Report to finish out the day. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. So without further ado, let's get into the next segment. Today on Steelers Talk, I am reacting to Bleacher Report's 2025 trade guide for the Pittsburgh Steelers, where they have 2 Steelers trade candidates and then 3 players for the Steelers to target on the trade market this year. We'll dive right in here in just a second, but first, predict it for me down there in the comments section. Will the Steelers make a trade in the 2025 offseason? Will Omar Khan get the phones going and con somebody out just like he did the Ryan Poles when it came to the Chase Claypool trade, eventually getting Joey Porter Jr.? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. If yes, if you think Omar Khan does make a trade, which player do you think it's going to be for? So let's start with the trade candidates from the Bleacher Report scouting department here, and they say George Pickens and Minkah Fitzpatrick are the 2 players that the Steelers should consider trading this offseason. All right, so let's take it one at a time here, where Bleacher Report says this about trading George Pickens. He'll only be 24 years old next season, and he's already one of the best deep threats in the league. Many teams would like to add someone with his ability to go up and get 50-50 balls. However, his talent comes with some negative incidences. Yes, he does. That could create frustration with an organization. Then when it comes to Minkah Fitzpatrick, they say Fitzpatrick has been a Pro Bowler 4 times since joining the Steelers in 2019. However, it might be time to get some value out of him, as they could save $8.6 million against the cap by trading him. So listen, man, I said this in our trade candidates video here on Steelers Talk. You can check that video out on our channel if you haven't seen that already. But I'm open to trading both of these guys. All right, I think I had them number 1 and number 2, maybe number 1 and number 3 on my trade candidates list this year, because I think that this is something that kind of makes sense. You're spending too much money on defense. Minkah Fitzpatrick has had a down year this past year. I think there's teams out there that would appreciate his leadership, his savvy in the middle of the defense, and maybe the Steelers can get a pretty decent draft pick for him. And then George Pickens, if somebody like T. Higgins or Devontae Adams wants to come and be the number 1 receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, I think it could make sense to maybe trade George Pickens and get some of his antics out of the Steelers locker room. But if you trade George Pickens, and I can't stress this enough, if you trade Pickens, you have to have a plan. This was the issue last year after trading Deontay Johnson. The Steelers didn't have a plan to address the position, and it ended up biting them in the ass, and they ended up having to put all their eggs in the basket of Brandon Ayuk. And then he ends up signing an extension, and then you're stuck with Van fucking Jefferson as your number 2 receiver for the 2024 campaign. All right, so I don't want that to happen again. If you're going to unload GP, you better have T. Higgins in your hand. You better have Devontae Adams in your hand. You better have Deebo. I don't know about Deebo. I don't think he's a true replacement, Coop, but you got to have a good number 1 receiver option if you are going to replace George Pickens at that spot. That's all I'm going to say. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comments section. Will George Pickens be traded this offseason? Type T for trade, or type K if you think he's going to be kept. In just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at Z Biotics. And while I'm talking about Z Biotics, let me know what you guys think is going to happen with the George Pickens situation this offseason. Now let's talk a little bit about our friends here at Z Biotics. And as most of you guys know, I don't drink alcohol, all right? But I certainly work with a lot of people here at Chat Sports that drink on the job. Of course, I mean, that makes it sound worse than it actually is. We drink on NFL Sundays, but I'm very thankful to have Z Biotics pre-alcohol as a resource for my producers here at Steelers Talk so that they can be at their best for me and this show after having some fun the night before. Pre-alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to drink this probiotic before drinking alcohol, drink responsibly, and get a good night's sleep to feel your best the next day. So go to zbiotics.com/chatsports. You can also scan the QR code on the screen right now to get 15% off your first order when you use code CHATSPORTS. It's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS at checkout. You can also sign up for a subscription using my code so you can stay prepared no matter the time or occasion. Z-Biotics is backed with 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head on over to zbiotics.com/chatsports and use code chatsports at checkout for 15% off. Thank you to Z-Biotics for sponsoring today's edition of Steelers Talk. So now the trade candidates that Bleacher Report suggests the Steelers should go target this offseason: cornerback from the Buccaneers, Jamel Dean; defensive tackle and run defender extraordinaire, Grover Stewart; and then wide receiver, Deebo Samuel from the San Francisco 49ers. Let's see what they had to say about Jamel Dean here. Jamel Dean is a veteran cornerback who is still playing at a high level. The Bucs would only want to trade him away for cap reasons, but he would be a great pairing with Joey Porter Jr., who still could use a veteran mentor as he works to clean up his game. And listen, man, if Tampa Bay makes Jamel Dean available, I am absolutely in on this guy. 28 years old, great veteran experience. He's won a Super Bowl before, 6'1", 206 pounds, so he's got some good size. He's got a great man coverage skill set that Dante Jackson never brought to the table here in Pittsburgh. So I think he's a terrific fit with as much man as the Steelers wanted to play last year, and I'm guessing they want to play in the future. And he still has 2 years left on his current contract, and $13 million cap hit for the Steelers next year is honestly not that much. You'd probably have to pay Charvarius Ward or DJ Reed even more than that in free agency this year, and you can make an argument Dean is better than both of those guys. So I think for the right price, in terms of a trade, I'd be down to get a guy like Jamel Dean. Now, it has to be worth it to not go out and get DJ Reed instead in free agency. Like, it has to be, in my opinion, fourth round pick, at the very most a third round pick, but that's honestly a little bit rich for me. An early day 3 pick for a guy like Jamel Dean, a legit number 2 corner that's really great in man coverage, I think would be an excellent addition for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's great in coverage, and I think that he would be phenomenal to pair with Joey Porter Jr. in the future. Then when it comes to Grover Stewart, this is what they had to say about the Colts nose tackle. The Steelers could have holes to fill on the interior of the defensive line. Cam Hayward is getting up there in age, and Isaiah Loudermilk is a free agent. Grover Stewart is an underrated stalwart for the Colts, but they might want to create the cap savings that come with trading him. So right now, Grover Stewart is 31 years old, so he's not getting any younger, but at 6'4", 314 pounds, he is one of the best run stuffers in the NFL. So if the Steelers are looking, to get a true nose tackle and move Keanu Benton to the 5 technique, which is what I have suggested, I think that Grover Stewart would be perfect for this role. Plus, his cap hit is just 2.51 for the Steelers if they end up trading for him. Sign me up for that. And if you do this, you can send like a 5th round or a 6th round draft pick for a nose tackle here. And, you don't have to spend that draft pick on an unknown entity in the NFL draft and drafting a nose tackle. You get a guy for the next 2 seasons. He is under contract for 2 years, and he's an absolute stud as a veteran. So for a team like the Steelers that are trying to win now, veteran presences at these spots is crucial. Now, obviously, you need to continue to draft new talent and replenish the ranks, but if you're looking for a full-time starter at nose tackle for a team like the Steelers that play base formation, which means all 5 of their on-ball defenders are on the field at the same time, as much as they do, Grover Stewart at nose tackle would be a huge addition for this football team, and it's absolutely one that I would make for the right price. So pick one for me down there in the comments section. Between these 3 players, Which one are you trading for? Type JD for Jamel Dean, type GS for Grover Stewart, or type DS for Deebo Samuel Jr. The reason why we didn't talk about Deebo on today's show, guys, is because we've talked about him quite a bit on some past shows. So if you want to check out those shows and my thoughts on Deebo, you guys can check out those shows right here on Steelers Talk. And if you never want to miss any of our great content here on Steelers Talk, you can click that subscribe button right now, turn on that notification bell, and join our family today and join the largest individually run Steelers news community anywhere on the YouTube platform. I greatly appreciate your guys' support. I will see you guys tomorrow. Until next time, here we go, Steelers. All right, cuts are out of the way. By the way, I promised 10 push-ups if we got to 100 likes. We got to 120, so I got 10 more to do. But have we gotten any more $5 super chats for
No more supers.
No more supers for Coop? Can somebody send in a 5 to see if we can get Coop to do push-ups today? That would be unbelievable. If somebody could put in a 5 so we can spin the wheel to see if Coop has to do push-ups, that'd be great.
You ready?
I am ready. Let's get it going.
Push-up time.
Let's get it.
It's time to play the game.
Let's go, baby. All right, push-ups. Somebody send in that 5 so Coop has to do this shit. All right.
One,
two,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
There we go. Let's put a shot clock on. Woo! Let's go 3 minutes for shot clock here. $5 wheel spins. All right, $5 wheel spins, and Coop. We'll see if he has to do the push-ups. Let's go, man. Steeli says, "Bring back the tortilla slaps." Coop, I've been trying to tell you this. We need to bring back the tortilla slaps.
They're out.
Goodness gracious. We might have to get one of the new guys, man. We might have to get like Dilly Dilly out here or...
We are not slapping Dilly Dilly with tortillas. I'm not subjecting him to that.
No. Maybe they slap me.
It just seems counterproductive.
Oh, that's just funny to me, man. All right.
You guys are ridiculous.
So Nozage, I hope I'm saying that right, my friend, says, "I wouldn't mind seeing Kenneth Gainwell in a Steelers uniform next season." I don't think I like Gainwell as a player. I think he's solid. I don't know if he's the game changer you need in the room. If he's a number 2 back, I wouldn't mind it. If you let Najee and Jalen go, you sign Kenneth Gainwell to a decent contract, and then draft a running back. I wouldn't hate that, but honestly, I like Jalen Warren more than I like Kenneth Gainwell, so I'd rather bring him back. Rad Swag, what's up, Rad Swag? Says, "Imagine if Genty fell, we got him and did this in free agency, re-signed James Daniels, Fields, Roberts, then signed DJ Reed, trade for Deebo, and sign Milton Williams." He says, "Unrealistic, but I think we'd be contenders." Yeah, I mean, signing all those players is pretty unrealistic, honestly, but I think that would be fine. Milton Williams is a good player, but I don't know where he'd play next year.
Yeah, I don't know where he'd play either.
He'd probably play 5 technique, which means Keanu has to stay at nose, and I don't want that. I want Keanu to move to the 5 technique where Larry Ogunjobi plays, and I want him to be more of a penetrator. And I want him to use his athleticism and get off. But right now, he's forced to just eat double teams and be a run stuffer, and that's not where his game is best suited, in my opinion.
Get me Grover Stewart.
Give me Grover Stewart. I would love Grover Stewart. Right now, the Steelers are trying to win now, and Stewart still has 2 years left on his deal. He's super affordable, and he's already one of the best nose tackles in the game.
I'm in.
I mean, if I'm the Steelers, Grover Stewart is one of my premier trade targets this offseason.
Robert Derringer says you should slap me with a watermelon. I think that would hurt.
Like a slice?
Like a whole?
A whole watermelon? Just throw it on somebody?
Boom.
That would hurt, dude.
That would hurt.
That would really hurt. So we got 1:15 to go. $5 for some wheel spins. So if you guys want to get that going, we can get it going. If not, we'll wrap up the show here. It's been a good hour of a live show here. We will be going live again on Thursday, just so you guys know, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, our normal time. We'll be going live on Thursday. I'm going to reveal my latest mock draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to have a bunch of great content on there, guys. So if you want my latest Steelers mock draft, it'll be on this show on Thursday. Do not be late. Beat Boy says, would you trade Fitzpatrick and a 6th for T. Higgins? I mean, if Higgins was still under contract with Cincinnati, which he's not, no. Well,
No.
actually, I would, but they won't. Like, they're not trading a receiver for Minka and a 6th. A safety and a 6th. Oh, Robert says, no, a piece of watermelon. So he's talking he's talking like a slice of watermelon, slap him.
It might splatter.
It definitely would. We'd probably get it over all of our nice camera equipment here. All right, man. So it looks like the clock's going to run out. So that means that's going to be the end of today's Steelers Talk Live show. Greatly appreciate all the real ones. We're finishing out today's show with about 200 concurrent viewers. So thank you guys so much for sticking with us here to the end of today's edition of Steelers Talk Live.
Bye.
Again, we'll be live again Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So we'll see you guys then. Until next time, here we go, Steelers.